Part 22. I got to make sure that I make this as clear as possible. When did the believers flee into the wilderness? Whenever the Roman armies came to Israel. That's what Jesus told them. What we just read here in chapter 12. When was Satan cast down? When the believers fled into the wilderness. For 1,260 days. When did the two witnesses start preaching? When the believers fled into the wilderness. For 1,260 days. They preached for 1,260 days. When did salvation come and rejoice you that are in heaven? Because Satan, the accuser of the brethren, was cast down, which deceived them. He was no longer going to be deceiving them. Because the believers fled into the wilderness. This is the first resurrection. The first resurrection is the reign of Christ. So in 66 AD, Jesus Christ returns on the clouds. The armies, the Roman armies, the rod of iron, come to Israel. The believers flee for 1,260 days. The two witnesses start preaching for 1,260 days. The Romans trample the city underfoot for 42 months, which is a little longer than 1,260 days, because the two witnesses and the believers are caught up in the rapture at the seventh trumpet, which is a little shorter than 42 months. And then you have the vials, the wrath of God. What happened to Satan? He would not be deceiving the nations once the first resurrection happens. So he's thrown into the bottomless pit. When? And at the beginning of this war, 66 AD, the stars of heaven fell, Satan and his angels were cast down, and Jesus Christ started reigning under the sixth seal. And again, the 144,000 had to die first. Here again, he says they loved not their lives unto the death. Just like whenever they were handed white robes, saying yet a little while until your fellow brethren are killed. Just like in Revelation chapter 14, which we're going to get into, the 144,000 were the first fruits unto God. The dead in Christ rise first. The first resurrection happened. It was the 144,000. They were caught up. That was in 66 AD. So in chapter 12 here, we're about to get into how Satan was cast down and the believers fled into the wilderness. A lot more to get into, so stay tuned.